Go on, take a deep breath with me. In and out. Pretty simple, right? But what you just did, without even thinking about it, is power your entire body. Ever wonder about the wild journey that air just took? Well, in this explainer, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to follow a single breath all the way from the air around us, deep into our cells, and see how it literally fuels our existence. Ready? Let's dive in. Okay, so first things first, why do we even breathe? To really get it, let's start with a question you've probably thought about before. It's a classic, and it really gets to the core of this whole thing. It's all about us versus the creatures that live underwater. I mean, come on, you've definitely wondered this, right? If fish can breathe just fine underwater, why can't we? They're in water, we're in the air. Why can't we just switch places? The answer, it turns out, is a lot more interesting than just gills versus lungs. It's about what's actually in the air compared to what's in the water. So it all boils down to one word: concentration. The air around us is just packed with oxygen. In our lungs, they are incredible machines designed to grab it. Water, on the other hand, has way less dissolved oxygen in it. Fish gills are these amazing pieces of biological tech, perfectly designed for that environment. But our lungs, trying to get oxygen from water, well, it'd be like trying to fill a swimming pool with a squirt gun. It's just not going to happen. We're built for an oxygen-rich world, period. Okay, so that explains how we get oxygen. But that brings up an even bigger question. Why do we need it so badly? What's the big deal? Well, the answer is happening inside you right now in every single one of your trillions of cells. They are hungry, and they have a relentless need for energy. This is pretty much the #1 rule of life. Every living cell needs energy. Now, we get that energy from the food we eat, which gets broken down into stuff like glucose. But you can think of that glucose molecule as a locked treasure chest, just packed with energy. And your cells, they can't open it. They need a key. And guess what that key is? Yep, it's oxygen. So what are we using all this energy for? Literally everything. I'm talking about the huge muscle contractions that let you run a marathon, but also the tiny electrical signals firing in your brain that are letting you understand what I'm saying right now. Your body is like this massive, bustling city, and oxygen is the power grid that keeps every single light on 24/7. All right, so there's a fancy scientific name for this whole process. It's called aerobic respiration. Aerobic just means with oxygen. That's it. It's this super efficient chain of chemical reactions that happens inside our cells to unlock all that energy we've stored away from our food. And this right here, this is the main event. This is the simple formula for what's happening inside those little power plants in your cells called mitochondria. You take glucose, that's the sugar from your food, you add the oxygen you just breathed in, and boom, you get energy. You also get a couple of waste products, carbon dioxide, which you guessed it, you breathe out, and a little bit of water. It's simple, it's elegant, and it's what's keeping you going right now. But what if you're pushing yourself to the limit, like sprinting as fast as you can? Your heart and lungs just can't get oxygen to your muscles fast enough. So what happens? Does the whole system just shut down? Nope. Your body is smarter than that. It has an emergency backup plan, a kind of turbo mode. So let's compare these two systems side by side. You've got aerobic respiration. That's our main engine, right? It uses oxygen and gives us a ton of energy. It's super efficient. Then you have the backup plan, anaerobic respiration. This one works without oxygen. The energy payout is way smaller, but it's incredibly fast. The catch? It produces a byproduct called lactic acid. So it's not very efficient, but when you need that sudden burst of speed, it's a lifesaver. Think about that last 50 yards of a race, or lifting that one last rep. That's when your muscle cells flip the switch. They start breaking down glucose without oxygen directly into lactic acid just to squeeze out that last little bit of energy. It's what lets you go into overdrive for a few seconds. But that buildup of lactic acid, oh yeah, there are consequences. Okay, we've got the why down. We need oxygen for energy? Awesome. Now, let's talk about the how. How does that oxygen get from the air all the way down to those tiny, energy-hungry cells? Well, your body has an incredible superhighway system built just for that. But before we map out that journey, I've got a wild fact for you. If you could take all the little air sacs in your lungs where the oxygen gets absorbed and lay them out flat, they would cover more than 100 square meters. We're talking about the size of a tennis court, a whole tennis court, folded up and packed neatly inside your chest. That massive surface area is the secret sauce. It's how you can absorb so much oxygen with every single breath. So let's follow the air, shall we? You breathe in through your nose or mouth, the air goes down your windpipe or trachea, and then splits into two main branches called bronchi, one for each lung. From there, it just keeps branching out like a tree into smaller and smaller tubes called bronchioles, until finally it reaches the end of the line, millions of teeny tiny air sacs called alveoli. And this is where the magic happens. The alveoli are just perfectly engineered for gas exchange. Get this, their walls are only 1 cell thick, super thin. And they're wrapped in this crazy dense network of tiny blood vessels, capillaries, whose walls are also just 1 cell thick. This means that an oxygen molecule basically has to hop over 2 tiny cells to get from your lungs into your bloodstream. It's an incredibly short and efficient jump. All right, let's connect all the dots now. We've talked about our main energy system, aerobic respiration. We've talked about the backup plan, anaerobic respiration. And we've seen the oxygen superhighway. Now let's see how it all plays out in a situation we've all been in, being totally breathless after you've already finished the race. Picture this, you've just sprinted across the finish line. You stop, you bend over, hands on your knees, but your heart is still pounding out of your chest and you're gasping for air. Why? You're not moving anymore, so why is your body still working so hard? Well, it's because you went into debt, an oxygen debt, and now you've got to pay it back. Remember that lactic acid we talked about? The stuff your muscles made when they were in turbo mode? Well, it's built up in your system, and your body needs to clean it up. You basically took out a high-interest energy loan, and you didn't pay with oxygen up front. So all that panting and gasping for air after you stop? That's your body making the repayment, flooding the system with oxygen to settle the account. So here's what's happening. You keep breathing heavily because your lungs are on a mission. Grab as much extra oxygen as possible. Your heart keeps racing to pump that oxygen-rich blood, along with all that lactic acid, to your liver. And it's in the liver that the cleanup crew gets to work, using all that extra oxygen to break down the lactic acid. Your heart rate, your breathing, nothing goes back to normal until that debt is paid in full. And that's it. This whole incredible, complex dance is happening inside you right now, with every breath, in and out, from the air to your lungs, to your blood, to every single cell. It's powering your thoughts, your movements, your very life. It's happening as we speak. So, as you take your next breath, what are you going to power with it?